Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's been happening in my health, and it's been a process. It's been about a year since I have been monitoring this in my blood, and I have the sense that it needs to be shared and normalized. So today we're going to be talking about the etherization of the blood. So I'm going to first tell you my journey, and then I will explain the deeper dive that I found on this path, and I hope that it's helpful for you. But I would like to say up front, I am not a doctor, and I just have tuned into this in my own body and feel that, with our health, as we move up in frequency, if we only take the third dimensional view from the doctors that are seeing us, I think we are doing ourselves a disservice. And although I am still pursuing both paths, I also want to take the higher octave. So about a little over a year ago, when we moved to our new house, we had gotten a new insurance, and I got a new doctor because it was a new, different plan than what we had. And of course, they wanted to do all the blood work because I have Hashimoto's. And so I had to, redo all that blood work. And then on top of that, they just tested everything. So what came back was that my white blood count was lower than normal. And that first test, it was 4.4. And the normal range of the white blood count is at between 4.5 to 11. So it wasn't like it was, really below normal, but she flagged it as it is a little bit low, so I would like to test it again. And so I went back and they tested it again like a month later, and it was dropped again to 4.1. And so that made her even more concerned. So she did like a deeper blood evaluation, blood work, and also referred me to an oncologist. And of course, she didn't say that to me when she said, I'm going to refer you to another doctor to go deeper into this. But then when I got the call from the doctor's office, it was an oncologist. And the thing is last year they told me, when this oncologist's office called me, they said, don't worry about scheduling an appointment. The white blood count is in the normal-ish range, and we'll just keep an eye on it. So next year around this time, just get it tested again and we'll see where you're at. So I left it at that. I feel totally normal. I'm not sickly. I don't hardly ever get sick. So I didn't think much of it and moved on. So this year, about a few weeks ago, when I went back to the doctor to explore my perimenopause, I told her, it's been a year, so it's probably, we should test the white blood count again. So she was like, yeah, I think we should. So this time I get the call back and she said, okay, so it's dropped again. Now it's at 3.6. And again, remember the normal range is 4.5 to 11. So she referred me to an oncologist again. And this time I do have to go in and go through the process of their testing and see if there's anything that actually is wrong in my body. Now, the research that I have done, basically I found that the normal range in the United States is based off of the American diet, which is, meat, fast food, junk food, processed food. And so having a lower white blood count doesn't necessarily mean that there's an issue with my immune system. It just could mean that, look, I am a vegetarian. I am a plant-based eater. I've been eating a ton of kale and it would make sense that it would go down. So I found a video, which I'm going to share in the link below, which talks about this very thing, that when we look at like secondhand smoke or eating meat or what our diet is, like, how are we exercising? Are we, consuming just junk? Like that is what affects your white blood cell count, because it's a systemic inflammation and the oxidation of the blood as to why the white blood count would go up. So if I don't have inflammation, I don't have rheumatoid arthritis, and I am, essentially taking care of my body with greens, then of course it would naturally go down, because the body doesn't have a need for that many white blood cells. So I like in the group that I am in, I shared all of this with them, and I shared the video that I found, and one of the members in the group came back, and she is a meat eater, and she said, I went back and looked at my blood work from the last 3 years, and sure enough, hers as well was below the normal range. But interestingly, her doctor did not flag it as abnormal. So, and she's a meat eater. So then that made me think, so of course I had to tune into that. And what came up is that depending on, and I'm going to say this as a blanket statement, and I have referred to this before, the diet for Ascension is not a one thing fits all. So what I talk about is eating intuitively. I became a vegetarian about 4 years ago, and it had nothing to do with my Ascension. It was just something that Richard and I were wanting to try, and then it stuck. Richard has gone back to eating fish, and I just don't have a desire to eat any animals. I just don't. I do eat eggs, and I do eat cheese. So my friend that said, as she looked back at her blood work, hers is continually going down as well. And she's a meat eater. I tuned into that. And what came up was that, of course, it doesn't matter if a person is eating meat or not eating meat. What matters is what your Ascension is about, and what your density and what your surrounding system is. So in the case of my friend, she is running a business. She has 2 children. She has a husband, and they are just buying a farm, and she's like boots on the ground. And so her eating meat is part of her Ascension, because she says this phrase of she's supposed to, I'm not going to say it right, but share her light where she's at, which of course that is the case. We all are exactly where we need to be. So if her reality is more earth-based, it would make sense that she needs that animal protein to be here and be in her experience and keep her down on the ground. And funny, I just thought of this. When I did her Human Design Ascension, her 4th dimensional self is a reflector. So she's completely open. So if she didn't have that grounding of the meat, she wouldn't be able to be here. She wouldn't be able to function in her life. And I think that is a great tell as to this diet, nutrition area of our experience as we ascend is so intuitive based. So I knew that. I knew that it wasn't necessarily based on the diet that you eat. However, this YouTube video I will share below does talk about that. And there are studies that suggest that not eating meat will cause less inflammation in the body and less for the body to fight off. So that, is debatable. But I think when we're talking about it, not just from a 3rd dimensional perspective of this is scientifically what works to lower the white blood count, and more etherically, we can see that it depends on what your mission is. It depends on why you're here. So then another one of my friends found this amazing article, and I'm going to share it with you. But I'm going to share it with you, and then I'm going to tell you how why I'm sharing it. So the white, red, and T cells. Blood cells, both white and red, are manufactured in the bone marrow, and we know from previous lessons that cells are the smallest living units in the human body, and their health is critical for the overall health of the human body. White blood cells are the cells of the immune system that are involved in protecting the body against infectious disease and foreign substances like toxins in undigested food. T cells are produced in the thymus from white blood cells. Simply put, some white blood cells made in the bone marrow mature in the thymus and become super immune cells, T cells, in the body. In your body, you have two types of immunity cells, the white and the Ts, that play a critical role in helping your body stay healthy by fighting off disease and foreign substances. If you get a cold, for example, your white and T cells rush in to fight the infection. This is why we have phlegm or abscesses, which is an accumulation of the cells rushing to cleanse the infected area. If you have poor digestion and toxins cannot leave your body through normal or regular bowel movements, they leak into your bloodstream and accumulate in your tissues and organs. The white and T cells see toxins as foreign invaders and must destroy what you or your body should have digested. An example of this are pimples and blackheads on the skin of a person with poor digestion. Undigested food and other toxins have nowhere to go, so they try to leave through the skin, all while the immunity cells are trying to attack the foreign invaders. Sometimes the body is so toxic that the white and T cells are overtaxed and cannot get the job done. This is when the body begins to break down with illness, disease, cancer, heart, and organ breakdown. You can see why chemotherapy patients pay close attention to their white and T cell counts. When you start balancing your lower chakras and cleansing your body of toxins, your white and T cells do not have the work to work so hard. White blood cells were never supposed to be a part of the digestive system. But if you aren't digesting your food and eliminating toxins properly, your blood and tissue get filled with foreign invaders. Your immune cells have to do the work that your digestive system cannot do. What if the white and T cells could be free from being garbage collectors of the body? What would happen if you balanced your lower chakras, added digestive enzymes with every meal, and took a swallow of silver water every day, and cleansed your liver on a regular basis? If you give your white and T cells some help by removing the garbage. What if you give your white and T cells some help removing the garbage? What if you created healthy cells with soft and permeable cell membranes that allow nutrients to enter and waste products to exit? Maybe, just maybe, white and T cells have an evolutionary role in the ascension process. And once they are not defending the body against constant attacks of environmental toxicities, what could their real purpose be? As pioneers in this area of spiritual research, we are finding that there is indeed a relationship between cleansing the lower chakras and freeing the white and T cells and increasing life vibration and connecting to higher beings in the food chain. As earthly substance is ionized into mineral deposits in the pineal gland, a type of digestion of the outer world takes place. The same process happens when T cells determine the nature of foreign substances throughout the body. When the immune system, especially the T cell function, is healthy and not burdened with fighting unhealthy invaders, then the transformed T cells are free to become ionized in their own way. They become free agents to enhance higher bodily functions. Once health and vitality are present, then the higher functions of all the ductless glands become coordinated and can secrete vital hormones that clear the way for the functioning of the earthly and cosmic nutritional streams. The blood becomes etherized. It then continues to feed the immune system, but is released to do its higher purpose, which is to activate the earthly and cosmic nutrition streams. This is a psychological and spiritual way of ascension. So my friend found this article, and then she decided, like, who wrote this? So she starts digging in and finding who actually put this together. And it turns out they are named, this is a couple, and they are named the Gabriels. And that was obviously a sign for me that this was what was happening in my body. And I wanted to share this with you guys because ultimately we have to start taking our health into our own hands as we move up in ascension. Another thing that has happened in my own body is that my bones have become what's the word, where you start I'm losing bone density, and I'm pre-osteoporosis. I broke my toe last year, which then led to me having to get a bone density scan. And all of these things are part of this process. We're becoming different creatures. And what that means is that when my body isn't fighting all of these inflammations and it's not attacking itself, like trying to clean up what I'm putting in it, it leaves my blood open to go higher. It leaves my blood open to communicate with my portal, which is my thymus, which is so interesting, which is where the T cells are created. So it's almost like this portal opens, and this new plasma is able to drop, as Zaneta talks about, the dropping of the plasma into the blood. Of course, it's going to change us physically. And it's not like I'm trying to prove this happening in the physical realm, but obviously everything that happens in the synchronicities that we, happen upon, like a new doctor, new blood work, what have you, I can start putting together the pieces of what's happening in the body. So this is a very simple exercise. I want you guys to, if you are getting blood work done, to understand that your body is changing. It doesn't mean like one size fits all. I don't think that it is all about eating a vegan or plant-based diet, but I do think that when we ingest light-filled beings, which is, obviously greens, and fruit and, the things that come from nature, we are becoming one with nature. And it's also linked to prolonging life. I've heard this before in Ascension, that the more light-filled we become, we will live longer. We will be here longer. What I found out through this lowering of the white blood count is that the lower the white blood count is, we are not in inflammation. So the body is not being taxed. It's not being oxidized. It's having space to live longer. I am fit, was overage myself. I am 47 right now. And I don't look like most 47-year-olds. Like, I had a cousin that visited me this last weekend, and we look very different. So it's something to ponder. It's something to start thinking about and opening your heart to. I've talked to you guys before about cleansing the liver, and I was on a 2.5-year journey with celery juice every day. And I know this is going to be TMI, but when I started that process, I remember not only did it make me regular in my bowel movements, but I also saw actual metals coming out in my bowel movements. So this process of cleansing the liver is really part of it. We have to find ways to, take out the toxins in our bodies, helping the body along. Not only is it going to be a spiritual journey, but there is physical things that we have to do along the way. So I was on this cleanse with celery for 2.5 years, and then all of a sudden it was kale. And recently a friend was visiting, and she said, you should be careful how much kale you eat if you have a thyroid issue. So that sent me, researching and figuring that out. And it turned out that kale actually helps to detoxify the liver, and it actually is perfectly fine for people with Hashimoto's. So I know that these vegetables that I'm called to they're not by mistake. We all have cleansing to do. If our ascension starts at a point in our life, we still have to take care of all the things that we've eaten prior to that. And it's not to say I don't eat junk food, because I definitely will eat junk food, but I know now how to combat it with a cleanse, like with natural foods. I don't do pill cleanses, or I have done juice cleanses, but more now it is kale. That's the main cleansing element that I'm using. So I was talking with Zaneta about this, and she's in the process of editing another book that will be coming out soon. And so she had some insights to share with us, and I'm going to just read what she shared. Ceruloplasmin protein is produced in the body via the liver to store and transplant copper in the body. Copper is very important to the formation of DNA because it helps craft the bone structure through collagen. It also assists in producing red blood cells. It is during this process that a natural electronic field is emitted around you. This can be seen like someone who is in contact with your energy field, as if touching a plasma ball. This is your plasma field being created to protect your physical body during its ascension transition. This formation is known in ancient teachings as electron, Elektron, a natural light body protection against disease. So I told her intuitively, I know that I don't need the white blood cells. So she brought this in as this is now how the body is protecting itself. It's becoming conductive. It's holding, when the liver is clean, it's able to hold this copper, which then creates this electron, Elektron, field around you. So anything that enters your field, it is like you're automatically able to move through it like the plasma ball. I also have noticed, and this is fairly recently, and I only came conscious of it when I did a reading yesterday, that I used to wear protection on my left. As you guys know, I always had black tourmaline. I'm always very protective of my space. And I noticed something shifted. I've talked about Zaneta's shop on Etsy, but I want to talk about it again because, as you guys know, my evolution with crystals is an ongoing process, and I always am intuitively drawn to certain things, and I feel into certain tools that are right for me in the moment. But once I received a bracelet from Zaneta, which is lilac kunzite, and then I also got Larimar. And once I had those two in place, I also use an angel aura quartz that I just happen to not have on right now. But those are the three that I usually wear. When I started working with these and feeling into their vibrations, something shifted in me where I don't feel like I need that protection anymore. I have this almost like my aura is doing the work on its own. So when she sent me this information about what's happening with the red blood count and how we are now protecting our bodies, I could feel that. And yesterday as I was giving the reading, I looked down and I was like, wait, I'm not wearing black tourmaline. And then I had also been wearing my ghost seeds, which were another form of protection. Something has shifted in my body where I don't feel the need to protect with crystals. I'm still tapping into that, but the point is, when we hold a vibration, and I'm bringing up her Etsy shop because these crystals are something that she creates in her own energy, in her own field. She puts so much protection around them. I don't know if you guys have gone onto her site, but you will find that in almost every of her mala photos, there are dragon flies that are blessing these beautiful crystals, whether it's, a ring, a bracelet, a necklace. They are holding such a high vibration. And when I first got this Larimar bracelet, it's going to be a little interesting story. I got it at night and I put it on right away and I sent her a picture and then I went to sleep. And by the time I woke up, all the beads were off of it and they were all underneath me. Like literally the thing just broke. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I debated even telling her because I was like, I know this happened for a reason. And I know that it's something that I need to connect with and then restring them and with my energy because they're so powerful that I was like, so I told her, and of course she was, not happy about it, but she's like, oh my God, that's never happened before. And I'm like, I know. They're electric, like something happened. And I then had to go and restring them and put my intentions into them and create them for me. And my point is, when you are tapped and can tap into someone that is carrying so much light on this earthly plane, and then have that piece of jewelry or that candle, which today I am burning the lily fragrance, something shifts. There's a protection around me that is so not permeable. It is something that feels way more gelatinous, way more like, you know how it feels like this? Like I feel like that's gelatinous. It's like, whoo, whoo, whoo. And I can feel when something like even is close to it. Even with people, I have had experiences in this last weekend, which I'm not ready to talk about, but allowing energies that come close to me that normally I don't have in my sphere. And what I found is that I've been able to hold my space while moving through third dimensional experiences. And something has shifted. Now, it could be a collective shift. It could be the bracelets. It could be all the things. But I am definitely correlating it to when I started wearing these 3 bracelets. So they aren't expensive. It is an easy buy. Go check out her website and allow that protection to come in. Like, the thing is, she's here as a seraphim to protect our energy. And to bring us these codes that are, she's just re-anchoring things that we know in our DNA. So if we can have a physical manifestation of that energy, it's like, it feels like a blanket. And something has shifted for me in that way. And I don't feel even nervous about going into seeing an oncologist. Like who would have guessed? But I actually am so curious to see what they're going to say, and obviously let them do the testing that they want to do. But I also know that I feel great. The research that I've done about this is that if you have this issue, with low white blood count, you're not even supposed to go out in the public without a mask on because you're so susceptible to everything that's out in the air. And I am not a sick person. I never am sick. So I know that I don't have an issue. It's just like this rediscovering of, and really her Ascension symptoms manual for doctors to understand that, yes, something is happening and it's not going to be explained by your normal tools. So I hope that this is helpful. I know this is a very entry level into this topic, which maybe I will do another one when I have more information, but in general, I want you to know that we're being protected in other ways now. As you move up in your ascension, it's not just about the tools. Yes, the tools can hold space for us and make us feel more secure and stable energy, but the blood is actually, what you're made of is actually doing it. Like, I know that there is so much protection around me and I feel it. Like, I've never had any negative energy come through this channel. I've never had any negative comments. I don't even see that in my field at all. So for me, it's like, okay, that means I can be vulnerable. I can open my heart, and it is going to the people that it's meant to go to. And that to me is full protection. So I hope that this finds you well and, it assists you on your journey. And I will see you next week.